Okay, well, since my video on not voting for reform, which I will not be now, I've been accused of splitting the right, etc. by some. No, that isn't the case. If you examine what's actually happened with reform, what's happened is there's been a huge yearning to get away from the Uni Party, get away from Labour and Conservatives, who have trashed us for decades. Right? There's been a huge opportunity to get away from that. And that opportunity we saw as reform, and people have rushed into it. Yes, with open arm, come and join this marvellous new thing where we're going to tell the truth, where integrity matters. So we want an inquiry with grooming gangs, they say, a national one, because the government won't give it to you because they can't expose the truth of it. And then they sort of back out of that, right? They're quite happy to rubbish people like Tommy Robinson with lies and smear people, and for that matter, I believe smear Rupert Lowe with lies, because my opinion is they are all lies, right? And you're supposed to believe that after 3 months, hearty words are somehow hearty to the chairman of Reform, who is a person who's bought his chairmanship. That's a fact. Yeah, so I think Reform's had it. I think this has split them right down. This is they're crumbling, and they're going to crumble. So why would I think that we haven't split the right then? And it's this. We have men of integrity now, like Rupert Lowe, Ben Habib and so on, who can form a new party. And I believe they can get the funding to do that. Right, they can form a new party. And in the meantime, whilst that's being formed, because it does take time, we can all join together with in effect a pledge. And that new party can incorporate an awful lot of the bits that are there now. In our society, they can incorporate lots of different movements in that. And that can be a wider church than trying to control from the centre. It can be a wider church that doesn't superimpose on a constituency, or you said something about not accepting first cousin marriages, that should be banned, and therefore we're closing you down, that sort of nonsense, right? So we've got to get away from that world. So I'm not willing to carry on one moment further with the support of reform because of this. They're back down on every single thing. They're going for the woolly centre. In effect, they're becoming a part of what the Conservative Party became. And that is not what we're about. But why is it good? This has to happen. The breakage has to happen before you rebuild. But when we rebuild, we only rebuild with integrity. And we take the rough weather. So I'll give you an example. I have been asked, how would I solve the boat problem? And I think it's very simple. I think if they make it over, right, and there's lots of things we can put in the way of that, but if they make it over from the safe country of France, we say, well, you've committed a criminal offence. That's a fact they have. We call them illegal immigrants again, and we don't change the wording like the government try to, and we put them in a tented camp on an island or somewhere guarded until we sort out the deportation. And we declare openly, anyone who comes by that method is going to be deported. We're not willing to do anything else. We're certainly not going to put in motels, ruin villages, ruin towns, ruin the tourist industry. We're not going to do that. We're not going to spend the £8 billion a year. We're just going to put them in camps, and they're going to have basic rations, and that's it. This is what you're heading for if you cross the channel. Right, the bigger problem is actually normal immigration, which the Conservative mainly, and the Labour now even more, are going to certainly allow big time. And it's too much for our society. It's destroying our society. In my planning I did in water resource systems, I had to plan ahead 50 years. We planned for certain populations in that time. Those have been well exceeded because of immigration, and therefore the sewage system, everything, all sorts of things are now drenched, if you like. They're completely overwhelmed with the increase in population, as well as obviously housing. Now, we've got to have, and we can have different discussions on this inside the new party. We can do all sorts of things inside the new party. And we can get, whilst we're doing it, we can get if we can get the funds, we can get a national inquiry into the grooming gangs going. Yeah, and what we cannot do is just smear people who disagree with us. What we have to do is be a wider church. And in doing that, there's a lot of different groups and things that this new party, this new system can incorporate now. We can say, come and join that party, come and be that. Put the whole message above any individual egos, above any individual, I'm the party head of this, I'm the party head of that. That doesn't matter. What matters is joint values. And those joint values won't be precise with everyone. There'll be a range of them. And that's okay. Yes? So I look forward to this. I really do. I hope I can contribute on the climate side of it. I hope so, because we've got to stop this. I mean, the National Health Service has just decided to put £2 billion into doing net zero in the hospital system. 2 billion. Yeah. Well, it's 1.5 billion to have paid all the winter allowances for the for old people. I've got a vested interest in that. I am a pensioner, but I'm quite happy to forgo it. But so there we are. We've got to understand the madness we're in now with net zero, and we've got to understand the madness we're in now with politics. And all I ask is I don't get censored in doing my work which I do now in all sorts of ways, and that we come together as a nation to save our nation. We come together to save what our way of life is, and that's what I'm asking for. And that involves all the races. It doesn't involve just the British people. I want to make that clear. I'm not after in any way taking peaceful people who believe in our values and ejecting them. I don't care who they are, what religion they are, anything. So if you're for that, that's not me, right? But at least you have a right to say that. You have a right to speak out, yeah? And that's all I am doing here. So there we are. I just want to do the short message on where I am at the moment. And I am so excited. I actually think now the Reform Party is going to break apart, as it should. We shouldn't have chairmen buying their positions, which has happened. We shouldn't have Farage being their front mouth. And when you push away at the principles, there's nothing there, right? We can't have that. What happened wasn't because of Farage, or he did help get the numbers because he had the public profile. What happened was the people are rushing to save their way of life. And they rushed into the Reform camp. And believe me, they're going to rush out to this new thing. What Reform's done, which is good, is it has formed a number of people. Over 200,000 people have paid their 25 quid, although that's reducing now. 200,000 people, those are the people who really matter. And the new setup will look after the value of those people, not the value of 2 or 3 people at the top of Reform, who frankly are not even democratic. You can't even remove those people. There's no system inside Reform for any democracy at all. And yet they kid you. They stand on stage and say things like, we're giving you it back, we're giving it to the members. It's not true. And you're meant to accept all this because you're the mass who don't understand. Well, I'm sorry, the mass is revolting now. I look forward to the future. I think we've got a bright one. Thank you for watching.